So check out this one-day chart with me. We're hovering right around $2.87 here, literally knocking on the door of $3. Now, I gotta say, the chart's looking pretty solid for XRP right now. But here's the thing. Some folks out there are predicting a triple bottom, basically expecting another dip down to about $2.84 before we see that next leg up. Here's the reality though. Nobody actually knows what's coming next in this crazy market. We're all just guessing and throwing darts at the board here. Now look at Bitcoin. We're back at 114,000, baby. Fingers crossed, this is finally the breakout everyone's been sitting on the edge of their seats for. And of course, everyone's screaming, alt season's here. But is it really the start of alt season? Honestly, I think we're jumping the gun a bit. Even when you pull up that alt season index, we're sitting at 65, just chilling there. Here's what matters. Once we break above 75, that's when you know, I know, we all know it's officially alt season time. So how accurate is this chart really? I mean, look, it's built on what happened in previous cycles, right? We've watched this movie before, but here's my take on it. When XRP actually starts breaking out, you better believe this thing's gonna shoot past 75. It's probably just gonna mirror what XRP's doing or follow Bitcoin's lead. You know what I mean? Now everyone's talking about the final shakeout before the 2025 alt season, XRP hitting $20. And hey, the chart doesn't lie, does it? We saw it in 2017, we saw it again in 2021, and here we are staring at 2025. But is this really the final shakeout? Truth is, nobody actually knows for sure. Like, we could literally see some major real-world event pop off right now that sends this entire market tumbling back down. We've been through this rodeo so many times before. It keeps happening. And speaking of which, blockchain backer, I actually don't watch his stuff anymore because, I'm making my own content and I don't want to end up sounding like somebody else, right? But I've always got to give credit where it's due. Blockchain backer has been pretty solid at reading these charts. So here's what he's saying. There are a series of indicators popping up in the crypto market that look almost identical to what we saw at the 2021 top, unless RTY and Total 2 manage to break out. I'll be breaking all of this down throughout the week. So wait, let me get this straight. He's calling for the top right now, at this exact moment, when we're literally on the verge of seeing multiple XRP ETFs go live. This thing looks like it could happen any second now. We might not even have to wait until mid or late October at this point. And he's already out here calling the top? I completely disagree with that take. I think he was just hedging his bets by throwing that maybe in there. I don't know. But seriously, if you actually look at everything happening in the market right now, there's absolutely no way the top is already in for crypto. And of course, what's the narrative going around? XRP is dead. But guess what? History tells us a completely different story. Like, everyone who's staring at this chart right now, how in the world can you sit there and say XRP is dead? You realize people were saying the exact same thing back over here, right? And then boom, this massive move happened. Now, just because we're moving sideways again, suddenly XRP is boring. Everyone's itching to dump their bags. I can't believe XRP isn't already past $6. Why does it feel stuck around $3? Listen to me, we are about to witness an absolutely epic run. All you need to do is hang on until it actually happens. If you're looking at the XRP chart right now thinking, yeah, this cycle's done, I'm sorry, but you couldn't be more wrong if you tried. And anyone eyeballing this chart wanting to dump their XRP bags, whatever they're sipping on, I don't want any of it. Because let me tell you something. This is, hands down, the most insanely bullish chart you'll find anywhere in crypto right now. Check this out. XRP just pulled in $93 million in fresh inflows as we're sitting here waiting on these ETF decisions. Just like I've been saying, people are scrambling to get positioned now. Nobody's playing the waiting game until mid-month anymore because guess what happened? The SEC went ahead and switched up the rule book on these ETFs. These bad boys could flip on like a light switch at any moment. We could literally get that notification pop up and bam, ETFs are live and trading. That's exactly why smart money's already piling into this space. Guys, so listen, anyone sitting on the fence right now, you're literally going to end up buying XRP at way higher prices, I'm telling you. So get this, Polymarket is showing an 83% probability of a government shutdown happening this week. But here's the thing, I personally don't buy it. I really don't think they're actually going to pull the trigger on shutting down the government. You know how this goes. They're going to do that whole dramatic buildup thing where everyone's freaking out like, oh my God, the government's shutting down, everything's collapsing. And then boom, literally at the 11th hour, they'll announce they magically reached a deal. Classic move. Now, I've been seeing people throw around this idea that a government shutdown would be bullish for crypto, but GR actually pushes back on that. He flat out says no. According to him, a US government shutdown, it's generally not bullish for crypto, at least not in the short term anyway. It actually tends to bring in a ton of uncertainty, right? Regulatory stuff gets delayed, and you start seeing broader market volatility kick in. That puts serious pressure on risk assets. We're talking Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the altcoins, and more often than not, it leads to sell-offs and those nasty liquidations we all hate. Now look, there are some niche bullish arguments floating around, especially tied to Bitcoin's whole narrative as this hedge against institutional chaos, but here's the reality check. When you actually look at the historical data and what's happening right now, the impacts are mixed at best, or honestly, just negative overall. So this whole idea that it's bullish for crypto, like everyone's screaming about, that seems to be the narrative dominating everything right now. Shut the government down and XRP's gonna skyrocket. We're going straight to the moon if that happens. But I never thought it was bullish either, you know? Because think about it. That literally slows everything down. I mean, seriously, what are we all sitting here waiting for right now? We need clarity coming from the US government, right? So if they actually shut the government down, all that does is delay the clarity we desperately need, probably pushing it all the way into 2026. So there's this headline going around. XRP explosion ahead. Analyst outlines longevity and a bold $200 target. And of course, the market flips green for like 5 minutes and suddenly everyone's out here calling for 200 XRP all over again. Look, I get it. I look at the chart too, and the chart is telling me we could absolutely see some insane numbers, especially when you start stacking up all these catalysts XRP has going for it. But to just throw out $200 like it's nothing? Come on, guys. I'd say let's pump the brakes and get above $30 first. Heck, let's hit $4 first. Remember, everybody and their mother was predicting a $4 XRP by the end of September. I was right there with you guys. I totally thought the same thing was going to happen, because if you actually pulled up the chart throughout September, it looked so many times like we were literally about to see that serious breakout for XRP. You know, then boom, all of a sudden, more tariff talk comes out of nowhere. Then we've got conflicts flaring up in the Middle East. Then those crazy threats up in Alaska with US jets and Russian bombers getting way too close for comfort. It's like every single time something looked promising, something would drag this market right back down again. And don't even get me started. We even had OG Bitcoin holders waking up from their slumber and dumping their Bitcoin. And honestly, I still think that's going to keep happening. Think about it. The OG Bitcoin holders from way back in the day, if they could see where Bitcoin is right now, today, with everything surrounding it, they would be absolutely disgusted with it, man. Okay, so here's the thing about Bitcoin, right? It started as this rebellious movement, totally anti-government, anti-bank, anti-US dollar. That was the whole vibe. But now, look at what modern day Bitcoin bros are doing. They're literally begging the government to buy Bitcoin. Like, come on. They just want someone to pump their bags, you know? And here's what's wild. The OG Bitcoiners, the original crew who believed in all this, yeah, they're not feeling it anymore. They see where this is headed, and honestly, they're starting to dump their holdings. Can you blame them? Now, let's talk XRP for a second. There's this millionaire trader out there saying, mark my words, classic trader talk, right? XRP's next leg up is going to be fast and aggressive. Look, I'm not totally sure if the next move is the one that's going to be super aggressive, but I can tell you this. When the breakout actually starts happening, we might only see it push to just under $3 before pulling back again. But listen, and this is important, when XRP really breaks out for real, oh man, it's going to be lightning fast. Aggressive, right? Like we've seen how fast XRP can move when it wants to. And this is exactly why I'm always telling people, look, you're not too late to get into XRP, but seriously, I would buy as soon as you possibly can. Because here's what happens. When that breakout finally begins, it's going to leave so many people in the dust. And then what do? They panic buy. They FOMO in at $4, $5, $6, and beyond, just chasing the price up and up. Here's the crazy part though. Once XRP actually breaks above $5, dude, there's literally nothing holding it back anymore. It's in full-blown price discovery mode at that point. And honestly, nobody has a clue where it's going to stop. And get this, that run between $5 and $10, it's going to be insanely quick. Like blink and you miss it quick. There's basically nothing in that space. No resistance, no sell walls, absolutely nothing there. Why? Because most people still don't believe XRP will ever get above $5 in the first place. There are still people out there who don't think XRP will even go above $4. Can you believe that? But here's the thing. This cryptocurrency has a track record of proving the doubters wrong every single time. And I'm telling you, the same exact thing is going to happen again. And if you're an XRP investor, your job is simple. Sit back, stay patient, and just wait for it to unfold. That's literally it. Now, like I mentioned at the start of this video, we're still hanging out around $2.87 right now. Super close to that $3 mark, but we're just not quite there yet, you know? And look, I think it's way too early to start screaming, alt season is here. And it's definitely way too early to say, that was the final dip. Because what always happens when people say that? Like clockwork, another dip shows up. It never fails. But here's what I'm seeing. There are a lot of frustrated people down in the comment section. And they're always coming at me like, you said it was going to be at this price on this exact day. And I keep telling you guys, nobody can call this market perfectly. Nobody. Not me, not you, not anyone. What I do is give you the narrative that's coming from other people. You know, the chart guys, the traders who are bullish on this stuff. I like to give you a range of where we're sitting right now. And if things start changing, if people's predictions are shifting based on things like ETFs coming into play, I'm going to tell you about it because I want to keep you engaged. I want to keep you positive and hopeful, but I also want to give you a realistic idea of what might be about to happen, right? But think back to when I was telling everybody they should be loading up on XRP way back then. Nobody wanted to hear it. Everyone was skeptical, sitting on the sidelines. Then this happened. The price exploded, and immediately everybody was like, I should have bought more XRP. Classic, right? And now, I'm telling you again, right here, right now, we are going much, much higher from here. Will you listen this time? This is the time to be loading up, folks. This isn't the moment to sell just because XRP had a sideways day today or because we're seeing a little downtrend action. You buy what you can actually afford, don't overextend yourself, then you sit back, relax, and you wait for this thing to pop off. Because here's what I know, everyone who sticks around is going to make money in the coming weeks and months ahead. But you've got to actually be here when it happens. You got to keep your crypto locked down and safe. You got to maintain that optimism and that positive energy. And then when this finally plays out, you're going to be so grateful that you positioned yourself the right way while you still had the opportunity. So until that big moment arrives, just stay patient with this, stay positive through the noise, and let's all get rich together, yeah? All right, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up right here. I want to thank every single one of you for watching this. I genuinely appreciate all of you tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have an awesome night, everyone.